when y'all see that thumbnail, you already know what we're about to get into. I'm about to grind on this Wwe2k26 while we listen to a little bit of Christian apologetics. Today we got Inspiring Philosophy, Mike Jones beating up Captain Tazaryach on a myriad of topics, man. If y'all didn't see this, it's on Modern Day Debates. It happened not too long ago. I would advise y'all to go over to their channel, check it out. It's one of the premier debate platforms on YouTube, man. But say, these Christian apologists, ever since they've been in these YouTube streets, man, they've been slaughtering people. Lately, they've been slaughtering a whole lot of Muslims, people like Guy Logic, Vocal Malone, Elijah Johnson, the whole circuit of people, man. I'm not as big as they are, but of course, I've been doing the same thing for years, but it is what it is. We ain't here to talk about me, because I am Mama Ducks, Baby Ducks, Mr. No Ducks himself. Quack, quack. But yeah, we got Captain Tazaryach versus Inspiring Philosophy up here on Modern Day Debates, and we're about to listen to it. So without further ado, watch this dope.
All right, back like I never left, right? Birdman hands rubbing together. Does the Bible promote polygamy? My position is yes, it does. This first image is just a very simple image. Abraham and the Israelite men who had multiple wives. You have Abraham, Jacob, Elkanah, Gideon, David, etc. Just want to highlight this. The law regulated polygamy, so monogamy was not the only option.
So I would also a little bit closer.
A little bit closer?
Yep.
Okay, let me see. What about now? Yeah. What about now? It keeps dropping. Let me see if I could tighten it up just a little bit so it doesn't move. All right, what about now? Can I get 15 seconds back? Thank you. So the law regulated polygamy, which is how you know it was promoted, not monogamy as the only option. And this is not something that is an Israelite culture. This is just a culture that everybody had. It wasn't until the Romans came and implemented marriage as a contract that the Christian church would then regulate marriage as only one man, one woman. All right, I'm going to go to the next slide. It says, if by promote you mean commands everyone to practice it, then no. There is no command requiring men to have multiple wives. If by promote you mean permits and regulate it as a lawful form of marriage, then yes, especially in the Old Testament, that is my permission. That is my position, as well as the New Testament. The promote is by regulating it as a lawful form of marriage. Biblically, promotion means divine elevation, increased responsibility, and being honored or raised in rank by God rather than human ambition, as noted in resources like Bible Hub, which I went and put the source here. So this is where I got the definition from, the promotion of it. So to increase responsibility, because getting a wife is responsible, whether you have one wife or whether you have many. In 1 Timothy 4:1, it says, now the Spirit speaketh expressly that in the latter times some shall depart from the faith, giving heed to seducing spirits and the doctrine of devils, speaking lies and hypocrisy, having their conscience seared with an hot iron, forbidding to marry. That's what I believe the Christian church is implementing, the idea of forbidding a man to have more than one wife, which is really weird, because what we'll find out is that the Christian church is the front runners of monogamy, but also the front runners of divorce and adultery, which is crazy work. Which if they was allowed to share their man and share their man and just be honest, maybe life would be a better place. That's been my experience. Since I just tell the truth to women, I don't really have those problems. Exodus 21:10, when we talk about promoting and regulating. And
what is he talking about, bro? You got an ex-girl where she came online and clowned this dude and told pretty much the way that he does his fatherly duties and the type of person he was when she was in a relationship with him. So come on, bro. Stop the cap. Stop the cap.
This is God's law. So in Exodus 21:10, when it says, if he take him another wife, her food, her raiment, and her duty of marriage, shall he not diminish? So now that means if you have a first wife and you was to gather a second wife, you don't diminish the first wife because of the second wife. That's what it's saying. Now, a wife can be diminished by things that they...
Now, this is the thing right here. InspiringPhilosophy teaches that when you have sex with a woman, then you are married to that woman. So the woman that I was just previously talking about, who's no longer with Capt, wouldn't that be his ex-wife according to Israelite doctrine? But he don't take care of her anymore, allegedly. Like, these people are just capping, man. Come on, man, stop the cap.
You do, but it can't be diminished just because you have another woman. So if there's a law to regulate it, you can't say it's not promoting. Deuteronomy 21:15. If a man have two wives, one beloved, another hated, and they have borne him children, both the beloved and the hated, and if the firstborn son be the ones that was hated, then it shall be, when he maketh his son to inherit that which he had, he may not choose the one that he loved over the one that he hate. Again, regulating the promotion. This is very, very simple. Now we have, that's the second law that's regulating marriage. Deuteronomy 21:25-5 says, if brethren dwell together. So if I have a brother, he passed away last year. He had sons though.
Hold up, y'all. Let's hear what she's saying.
Naturally with the rest of your order. It seems the order of tradition was the right choice for you. Though the cards say that choice will impact us all. Your reading is turning into an epic in the making. Shall we see what your future holds in the next turn?
Y'all see they got this demonic stuff going on right here on the Wwe2k island. Tarot card reading and witches and all this stuff, but hey, it's wrestling.
What the hell? I don't know. She does, we do. It just doesn't make sense. The Empress. A hidden power that reveals itself in the midst of
The
chaos.
Empress of Tomorrow.
It consumes everything. The power of this Empress is beyond my ability to see. But there is someone who might have an idea. The Custodian. Don't discount the wisdom of someone who has access and is always watching. He's been here since before our time, before the Order of Shadows. Maybe before Roman made this place his personal island of relevancy. Yes, find the Custodian, figure out what he may know about the Empress. When you come back and tell us what you discover, we'll turn another card and learn where your story ends.
All right, but watch this though.
But if my brother, when he passed away, didn't have no child, the wife of the unalived shall not marry unto a stranger. Her husband's brother shall go in unto her and take her to him to wife. Again, responsibility and promotion. So now, if that if that brother has a wife, he still would take this wife, a woman as a wife, to raise up seed to perform the husbandly duty. So it's hard to convince me that a man cannot have more than one wife when there's laws that are regulating a man having more than one wife, controlling what he does with his children, controlling what he does with the woman, and being very careful about it. In Mark the 10th chapter, well, I don't want to do that one yet.
Got hurt in a car accident, you have to see this.
Insurance companies are tricking thousands of car accidents.
In Mark the 10th chapter, well, I don't want to do that one yet. I want to go to Deuteronomy 17:17. It says, neither shall he multiply wives to himself, that his heart turn not away. This is not getting rid of polygamy. This is getting rid of marrying a woman and valuing her more than the Most High. It's because the rest of the verse says, neither shall he greatly multiply to himself silver and gold. Why is that important? Silver and gold would today be money. So you shouldn't multiply money to yourself that it turns your heart away, nor women. And you see examples of that in 1 Kings, the 11th chapter, when Solomon, who had many wives, and when he got old, his wives turned his heart away after other gods. That's what Deuteronomy 17 is warning you about. In 2 Samuel 11:3, David committed adultery. That's what you cannot do. You cannot be an adulterer. He inquired of the woman Bathsheba, who was the wife of Uriah the Hittite. He laid with her, and when he got her pregnant, he had Uriah unalive. Nobody did anything. And then it was Nathan the prophet that came to David. And it's interesting what God said. In 2 Samuel 12:7, it says, and Nathan said to David, thou art the man. Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, I anointed thee king over Israel, and I delivered thee out of the hand of Saul. And I gave thee unto thy master's house, and thy master's wife into thy bosom, and gave thee the house of Israel. And if it had been too little, I would have given you more. So if that wife was too little, I would have given you more wives. Why is God saying he would have gave David more wives? Because he committed adultery with another man's wife, and God saying, I would have gave you more wives if that's what you wanted. So if the Bible does not promote polygamy, why would God even be saying that he's with polygamy? In Isaiah 4:1, it says, in that day, 7 women shall take hold of one man, saying, we will eat our own bread and wear our own apparel. Only let us be called by thy name. Now we have a future prophecy of 7 women taking hold of one man just to be called by his name. Matthew's the 25th chapter, first verse. Christ says, then shall the kingdom of heaven be likened unto 10 virgins which took their lamp to go forth to meet the bridegroom. We all know this is a parable. The bridegroom is Christ. The virgins represent us. But he's using a parable of a man marrying 10 women. And out of those 10 women, he married 5. So how could the Bible be against polygamy when they liken in the kingdom of heaven to a polygamous marriage? One of the subjects I want to go into is in Mark the 10th chapter, because this is usually where they go when it talks about the Pharisees. When the Pharisees, in Mark 10:2, the Pharisees came to him and asked him, is it lawful for a man to put away his wife, tempting him? And he answered and said unto them, what did Moses command you? And Yahushua answered and said unto them, for the hardness of your heart, he wrote this precept. This subject is not about monogamy or polygamy. This subject is only about divorce. What the Christians would do is try to make this about monogamy or make it a mandate, because that's their hidden agenda. But let's keep reading. It says, but from the beginning of creation, God made them male and female. For this cause shall man leave his father and mother and cleave to his wife, and they twain shall be one flesh. So they are no more twain, but one flesh. What God have joined together.
Why would he use that verse when that verse totally destroys his argument? Matter of fact, the particular sentences that he just read, that's inside the theme song of Me and My Wife podcast. For a man shall leave his mother and father, cleave to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. Well, how can you become one flesh with 3 people? In fact, his mother and his father are one, and when they come together, they make him. So how can he try to use that verse to say that makes 3 people? Don't make no sense, bro. The 2 come together and they make one. Like, what's wrong with these people? But it is crazy how they try to say stuff like this, and it shoots them in the foot. But watch this, though.
Let not man put asunder. Being one flesh is not talking about sex. That's not the subject. The subject of being one flesh is talking about being on one accord. An example of that is in John 17:21, is when Christ says that they may all be one as thou, Father, art in me and I in thee, that they may also be one in us. Say again.
20 seconds.
That they may also be one in us, that the world have sent me. So you cannot make this be about anything other than divorce, because that was the subject of the conversation. With that, I land.
Thank you very much for that opening statement. We'll kick it over to Mike for his 10-minute opening as well.
All right. Testing. That sound good, James?
Say maybe one more test.
Test. That better?
That's good.
All right. Thank you, James. Thank you, Cap. Good to see you again, man. Welcome to my world of debating. We're not on the streets anymore now. All right. The question before us is, does the Bible promote polygamy? And the answer is clearly no. In fact, I'm going to make a bold claim. The Torah actually outlaws polygamy explicitly in one verse, which we often miss. Now, he brought up that many in the Hebrew Bible, many in the Hebrew Bible had multiple wives, but anytime polygamy comes up in the Bible, it is portrayed in a negative light. The Bible tolerates polygamy, at times, but tolerating polygamy is not the same as promoting it. For example, the U.S. government allows smoking while explicitly discouraging it at every turn. Okay? Similarly, the Bible allows divorce while discouraging it. Okay? It does not promote divorce at all. In fact, the Bible treats polygamy and divorce very similar. These practices were tolerated or allowed due to the sinful nature of humanity, but the Bible speaks very strongly against them. In fact, it explicitly prescribes monogamy and outlaws polygamy. First, in Genesis 2:24, it says, "Therefore a man shall leave his father and his mother and hold fast to his wife, and they shall become one flesh." This is God's only ever prescription for marriage, and Gordon Wenham says, indeed, the narrator declares that this is the pattern for every marriage. For this reason, a man leaves his father and mother and cleaves to his wife. So this is very clearly the pattern. Now, polygamy is outlawed in the Bible. In Leviticus 18:18, it is translated as, "And you shall not take a woman as a rival wife to her sister, uncovering her nakedness while her sister is still alive." Now, most people assume this refers to outlawing a man marrying two sisters, but that's not what it says in the Hebrew. And since I'm debating a black Hebrew Israelite, we should focus on the Hebrew. Scholars like Angelo Tasato, Richard M. Davidson, and Jay Sklar have argued this verse actually is using an idiom. It literally says in the Hebrew, "a woman to her sister." This phrase, along with the masculine phrase, "a man to his brother," is never used to mean a biological sibling. Okay? It is used to simply mean one in addition to another. We can see this in Exodus 26, verse 3. It says, 5 curtains shall be coupled to one another. Okay? This is the exact same phrase in Leviticus 18:18, and as you can see, it means another, and not a literal sister. It's used again in verses 5, 6, and 17. Ezekiel 1:9 says, "Their wings touch one another." So again, you see this as well there. Same phrase. Angelo Tasato adds that the Qumran community, okay, they understood Leviticus 18:18 as outlawing polygamy and not merely outlawing marrying two sisters. Richard M. Davidson says, consistent with usage elsewhere in Scripture, Leviticus 18:18 should be taken idiomatically and distributively as referring to one wife in addition to another and not literal sisters. Tasato adds the justification for not taking another wife is provided in the verse itself. It refers to them becoming rivals. But women in general can become rivals regardless of whether they are biologically related or not. Therefore, this also supports the rendering that it refers to women in general and not merely biological sisters. He says the harm which the law wants avoided is such that any woman is capable of causing it once taken as a second wife, whether in a bigamous marriage or in a monogamous marriage after the dissolution of a previous marriage through divorce. Combining this with Genesis 2:24, we can see that God prescribes monogamy and outlaws polygamy. That's it. Game over. Polygamy is outlawed in the Bible. Now, sometimes proponents will bring up the fact that the Torah has laws that regulate polygamy. God has stipulated divorce.
All right, so let's see what he's saying right here.
No matter how much scrubbing I do, there's always more mess to clean on this island. And if you're coming to talk to me, I guess you must have one of your own to clean up. Things sure do move fast here nowadays. Dahlia and Delilah. Those young ladies used to be one young lady. Can you believe it? Twin magic like I haven't seen in a long time. Well, as much as I'd love to stop and jaw about it, look at this. Someone's running up and down this island spray painting graffiti. And not the kind that has Riz. Is that what the kids say these days? As soon as I take it down, more appears. I sure could use a hand. Tell you what, you help me clean this island up, I'll make sure you know just what you need to.
Man, I don't want to help this dude. Watch this though.
clear from reading Genesis 2 and Matthew 19 that he rejects divorce. Now, first, it can be argued some of the verses he brought up are actually translated poorly and aren't even about polygamy, which I'll get to later. But let's set that aside for now. Okay, merely having laws that regulate a practice doesn't mean it's endorsing or promoting it. Again, the U.S. government discourages gambling while having laws that regulate gambling. Okay? The laws are not there to promote gambling, but merely recognize it's a cultural practice that cannot be done away with without removing free will. And they're attempting to minimize the damage. Likewise, when God is allowing divorce, it's not because he's endorsing the practice, but recognizing it cannot be done away with without removing our free will. So he puts stipulations in the Torah to minimize the effects. When it comes to polygamy, notice that in the Torah, none of the laws are there to benefit the men, but to minimize the damage done to wives and offspring, because it's a very damaging practice. So that's the issue there. Gordon Wenham says the same stance is taken in the laws regulating marriage. The one law dealing with bigamy is concerned to limit the animosity generated by a bigamous relationship. While clearly the law tolerates bigamy, such a regulation shows it does not recommend it. That's his reading of it. The New Testament also only ever prescribes monogamy. In Matthew 19, Jesus, when speaking about divorce, true, he reiterates what is prescribed in Genesis 2, that marriage is between one man and one woman. But he goes further in what he says about divorce. Robert W. Wall says Matthew's Jesus subordinates this interpretation to his own, thus using the same biblical text to authorize monogamous relationships rather than polygamous ones as God's ideal. Back to Gordon Wenham. He says, it follows that if Jesus is condemning second unions after divorce, he must also be rejecting second unions before divorce. In other words, he's outlawing polygamy as well, which would also be contrary to true equality between spouses. In 1 Corinthians 7, Paul adds that because of the temptation of sexual immorality, each man should have his own wife and each woman her own husband. Okay? The husband should give his wife her conjugal rights, likewise the wife to the husband. For the wife does not have authority over her own body, but the husband does, and likewise the husband does not have authority over his own body, but the wife does. In other words, if you want to have sex, according to the Bible, it must be through a monogamous marriage. Now, he brought up Exodus, that's the end of my slides. Now, he brought up Exodus 21:10, but the context is not about polygamy. It's about having a slave girl and deciding not to marry her. Richard Davison says, basically it's saying, if the master rejects her as a wife, she is not to be freed by being redeemed. Or if the master's son marries her, she is to be treated as the master's daughter. And if the master marries a different woman than her, she is to be assured of her basic necessities. In other words, it's not even about a polygamous marriage. It's about this slave girl. Can the master choose to marry her? Yeah. If he doesn't, then the son can. If he doesn't, he marries another, he still has to provide for her. That's what the context is about. It's not even about polygamy. Let's see here. He also brought up Deuteronomy 21:15. If a man takes two wives. But Walter Kaiser points out the verse doesn't say that he has them at the same time. If a man marries a woman, she dies, and he marries another, you could speak of him as having two wives. And the verse is, again, not about polygamy. It's about caring for offspring. He cannot reject the one of the wife he liked less. So again, not even necessarily about polygamy. Now, even if it is, it's important to point out that at best it would just be talking about two wives. But again, it's not even saying you can do that. It's not saying you can have those wives. It's just talking about a situation. In the culture of this happens, what should he do? If you combine that with what Leviticus 18:18 says, you can see God is rejecting polygamy outright. He brought up the Levirate marriage, but again, Davidson, read it in context. It says when two brothers dwell together. Okay? This means they are of the same household and they're not both married. It doesn't say the brother comes from his other household. He's still under either his eldest brother or the father at that point. So this is not endorsing polygamy either. He brought up 2 Samuel 12 where it says that God gave David Saul's wives, but he doesn't say they became David's wives. Davidson, again, in his book, Flame of Yahweh, says, it is more likely that the phrase into your bosom, which applies to Saul's house, as well as his women, does not speak of marriage, but simply indicates that all of Saul's estate came under David's care and keeping. In other words, this is just saying that David now controls Saul's estate, including the women, which were valuable. They were royal women. You can have them go marry a governor or a general or another king to make marriage alliances. It is not at all saying that he married them and they were his wives. He brought up Isaiah 4:1, but scholars agree this is a depiction of a tragic social crisis. This is not an endorsement at all. He brought up Matthew 25 about the bridesmaids. That's not about brides. That's very clear. In the ancient cultural context, the bridesmaids would carry lamps, and they go meet the groom as part of the wedding party, and then bring them to the bride. They're not all brides. That's absurd. Doesn't follow at all. So as you can see, the Bible clearly outlaws polygamy in Leviticus 18:18. Never endorses it, never prescribes it, always speaks negatively. We can go through any story in the Bible. I'm more than willing to. And it's either going to talk about polygamy in a neutral light, or it's going to talk about it in a negative light. But it doesn't matter. We see the law in Leviticus 18:18 using that idiomatic expression. You can see how it's used in Ezekiel, Exodus. It's just used to refer to one to another. And with that, I'll yield the rest of my time. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that opening. And
Ticket to Ireland lays in this block of Kerrygold because the second you taste this grass-fed butter, you're going to be looking around for the cows because you've been
and this format will be a little bit different. So we have 5-minute rebuttals, and then we'll have cross exams. We're ready for you, Captain Tazaryach.
Give me 1 second. And okay, I'm ready now. In Leviticus, well, first of all, there's a word called rigmarole, which means a long, complicated, annoying procedure, a set of confusion, meaningless talk. That's what I felt I just went through listening to my friend IP speak, or my combatant rather, IP speak. In Leviticus 18:18, when it says, "Neither shalt thou take a wife to her sister to vex," that's in direct correlation to the vexation that took place between Rachel and Leah. Even though Rachel and Leah had no problem sharing their man with other women, Rachel gave Bilhah, Leah gave Zilpah. So those women had no problem giving their man another woman, which is what the meaning of one flesh means. One flesh is not talking about what you have physically. It's always talking about what you have spiritually. He mentioned Matthew 19:19, when it says, "I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife except it be for fornication, and shall marry another, committeth adultery." That does not mean that if he keeps that current wife and gets another wife, that's adultery. That's him and whatever them commentators said, imparting what they want onto the text because they want to push that concept. And here's the crazy part. Christ is saying you can't put away your wife except for adultery. But the leading religion in divorce are Christians at 66%. And I guarantee most of it is not for adultery.
That's because, but he also forgets to mention that Christians are the couples that stay married the longest too. We also have the longevity. So, and more Christians get married than almost any other religion. So, of course, if we get married the most, then definitely we're going to have the highest rate. But him being disingenuous and letting it be known that Christians as couples stay together longer than any other people, religion or organization. And it's also funny that he talked down on the Christian church when the Bible talks about Christians. Christians only mean followers of Christ. So since he hating on Christians, wouldn't that make him anti-Christ? Y'all see how this stuff don't make no sense, man? Like, it's just straight gibberish. But anyway, let's get back to it. Watch it, though.
So the very people that say you cannot divorce or say that they believe in Christ are divorcing at the highest rate. Whereas Israelites, we don't push divorce except it be for adultery. He referenced 1 Corinthians, the 7th chapter. In 1 Corinthians, the 7th chapter, when it says, let every man have their own every woman have their own husband. When you go to 1 Corinthians, the 5th chapter, you find out that the reason why Paul is writing that is because a son is sleeping with his father's wife, which begs the question, is that his father's, is that his mother? It doesn't say it's his mother. So is it his father's second wife that he's sleeping with? We know that that's not far-fetched to believe because Reuben slept with his father's wife that was also not his mother. So you cannot say that the fornication in 1 Corinthians is talking about having more than one woman when the fornication is clearly this son sleeping with his father's wife. There is not going to be one verse in the Bible that he can find that outlaws monogamy. He said Leviticus 18 and 18, excuse me, polygamy. He said Leviticus 18 and 18 outlaws it, but that's just not true, because when there's something that's unlawful, it just says it. And if the Bible regulates polygamy, then it's promoting it because of the responsibility that comes with it. In Ezekiel, the 25th chapter, Ezekiel had one wife. 24th chapter, I'm sorry. In Ezekiel 24th chapter, starting at...
Bro, all you're showing is that the Bible is descriptive, bro, not prescriptive. Just because you see somebody else do it doesn't mean it's telling you that you could do it. For example, God told Noah to build the ark. Anybody could read that story of Noah and nobody is going to say, well, God is telling me to build an ark. Why? Because it's just telling us what Noah did. It's descriptive. It's not prescribing what other people did for you to do. It tells you what you should do. And notice, that's all they can do. Well, Solomon had this many wives and this person had this many wives, but they can't show you where it was okay at. Everybody in the Bible that had multiple wives had a downfall. Every last one of them. So how can he say that God wants us to have multiple wives, then point out to us the people that had multiple wives without pointing out to us that every last one of them had a downfall because they had multiple wives? God don't want you to have no downfall. So obviously it's not permitted. It's regulated, not permitted. It's two different things, bro.
At verse 15, Ezekiel had the wife that was the desire of his eye, and the Lord unalived her because that was the desire of his eye. That's an example of Deuteronomy 17 and 17. And it says, Son of man, behold, I take away from thee the desire of thine eyes with a stroke, yet neither shalt thou mourn nor weep, neither shall tears run down. Forbear not to cry, nor mourning for the dead. Bind the tire upon thy head, put thy shoes upon thy feet and thy lips. Verse 18, so I spake to the people in the morning, and at even my wife died. He had one wife, but yet that was the desire of his eyes. That's what Deuteronomy 17 and 17 is talking about. When you get one wife, that's a multiplication, because now there's two. There's you and her, and you can't let that one wife do it. So my opponent has not read any single verse in the Bible, in the Old or New Testament, that's against polygamy at all. What he did was try to say you got to read this in the Hebrew. Matthew 19 say this is adultery, so that means getting two wives is adultery. But you're not going to show me anywhere in the Bible getting two women is adultery. With that, I'll end the rest of my time.
Thank you very much as well. We'll kick it over to Mike for his 5-minute rebuttal.
All right. Thank you, Cap. Appreciate that. So he says there's no place in the Bible that outlaws polygamy. It sounds like this is the first he's heard of this argument, which is unfortunate because scholars have been making this argument for decades now. Decades. If you just understand Leviticus 18:18 in the Hebrew, it is outlawing polygamy. So he says, for example, if the Bible outlaws something, it would just say it. Yeah, Leviticus 18:18. Again, if you just read it as literally as possible. It says, and a woman to her sister, not shall you take as a rival to uncover her nakedness beside her in her life. Again, look up the phrase, woman to her sister. Anytime that shows up in the Bible, it's about 10 times. It always just means another, not a literal sister. Therefore, the Bible is explicitly outlawing polygamy. Now he says, well, what about it regulating it? Okay, again, those verses are not explicitly allowing it. He brought up a verse in Deuteronomy. It just says if a man has two wives. How does he know they're at the same time? It's just because the law is about how you care for offspring. And even if it is, it's just stating it as a fact. And I want to press him on that in the cross-examination because there's a lot more context about that we'll get to. So we brought up Rachel and Leah. Yeah, that was not good. In fact, if you actually read the story, it's very interesting. Jacob talks about his wives, and then when he wrestles with God, things change. After that, he only says Rachel is his wife. And if you go, for example, to go to Genesis 46, everyone. It only says Rachel is the wife, and it just says Leah, Bilhah, and Zilpah are those who bore children to him. The narrator is saying that only Rachel's the wife because the path forward is monogamy. Okay, what happened to Jacob and what he engaged in was sinful and wrong. The patriarchs were not perfect. We're not supposed to look at them as our moral exemplars, that's for sure. He brought up Matthew 19, but again, what does it say? Okay, first of all, it goes back to the creation account. A man shall leave his father and mother, cleave to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. Then what does he say after that? If you divorce and marry another, it is adultery. Why? Put them together. You are one flesh. If marrying another is adultery, because you're one flesh, marrying another before divorce would also be adultery. This is pretty clear according to scholars. This is pretty clear according to church fathers. So he said we divorce at high rates. This is irrelevant to the debate. The debate is what the Bible is teaching, and the Bible clearly outlaws polygamy. It is not promoting it whatsoever, and he's not given really any verses that actually show it's promoting it. He brought up 1 Corinthians 7 and said the context is 1 Corinthians 5. What? No. Okay, so it talks about the man who is sleeping with his father's wife. That verse says that's his mother. The mother could have died and he just remarried. Women died often in the ancient world due to high rates in death from childbirth, so that was pretty common. It's probably what happened. And even if it was the case this guy was polygamous, which is very unlikely because he acknowledged in ancient Roman Empire there was no polygamy. That's the Romans didn't permit that. So that's very, very unlikely according to the cultural context. But even if he's some rare exception, in no way is Paul endorsing that practice. In no way. What are you talking about? He's just saying this evil person is sleeping with his father's wife. That's bad. Get him out of the church. He's not saying, but that father's great who has 2 wives. That's absurd. That's not at all what it says. Talk about going to a vague passage. Nothing there. There is nothing in the Bible which promotes or allows polygamy. It's sometimes at best it's tolerated because God is merciful to people like David or Abraham or Jacob, but it never allows it. It explicitly outlaws it in the Torah. This is what this is. If I'm wrong, it's very easy. Show me one place the idiom "a woman to her sister" actually means a biological sister. If it did, it would use the Hebrew word for "and," a woman and her sister. Since it says a woman to her sister, we can see how that's used in Exodus and Ezekiel. It means an idiom meaning just another. I showed you the verses. It clearly just means another. It does not mean a biological sibling. Therefore, the verse is explicitly outlawing polygamy, saying you cannot marry a woman and another. Came over at that point. And if you just look at the context before and after, Davidson, Tasato show that even supports it further. If he wants to press me on that, I'm more than willing to go into it. But you can read more about that in the sources I mentioned. But I'll yield the rest of my time. Thanks.
Thank you very much for the rebuttal. Rebuttal.
All right, guys, give us a second. We're going to listen to what this lady got to say, or whoever it is. Let's see. What you got to say to me, lady?
Can you feel it?
I don't know how to proceed.
No, sweet cheeks. The soft kiss of Cupid's arrow. Wrestling love is in the air. I can work with the 2 of you. Of course you did. You're a natural. Oh, the fans are gonna eat you 2 sweethearts up. It'll be the great molasses flood of 1919 all over again. Now that we know you 2 have chemistry, let's begin. Fans saw you across the ring from each other. We put you on the same side. I plant a few well-crafted rumors. The speculation starts.
Watch this though.
So the next section will be cross-examinations. You'll each have 15 minutes to ask the other questions. For this, we want it to be just questions because you guys have dialogue after this.
Gotcha.
And for the person answering, we want it to be just answers instead of returning questions.
I'll do my best.
I'll do my best too. That's hard. I think we would agree to that. I go first, I'm assuming?
Yep, we're ready for you.
Okay. In 1 Corinthians 7, you said that it's not talking about 1 Corinthians 5, correct?
It doesn't seem to be the context, no.
So in 1 Corinthians 5, when it says it is reported commonly among you that there is fornication among you, such fornication as is not such named among the Gentiles. We agree that Paul is addressing this city in Corinth about fornication.
Yeah, he's talking generally about a ton of fornication happening, which is wrong, yeah.
Actually, it says that one should have his father's wife, so I think it would be specific, correct?
What verse are you referring to?
1 Corinthians 5:1.
5:1. Oh, 5:1. I thought you were talking about 7 then. Okay, 5:1, yeah.
In 1 Corinthians 5:1, it says, "It is reported commonly that there is fornication among you, such fornication that is not so much named among the Gentiles that one should have his father's wife." So it's specific about the fornication, correct?
It's specific about that case, yeah.
Thank you. Verse 2, "And ye are puffed up and have not rather born that ye have done this deed might be taken away from you."
I told y'all the easiest way to win a match when the count out is on is let it be count out. Said that in my last video. Take notes.
Is Paul saying that they are puffed up, meaning they're not doing anything about it? We would agree, right?
You're arrogant. Ought you not rather to mourn? Let him who has done this be removed from among you.
Right. So, and it goes further in verse 5. It says to deliver such a one unto Satan for the destruction of the flesh. So in 1 Corinthians 7, now concerning the things thereof ye wrote unto me, wouldn't that be about the the son sleeping with his father's wife?
No, because if you read the full verse, it says, "Now concerning the matters about which you wrote, is it good for a man not to have sexual relations with a woman?" So this is
the question I asked you was, when it says concerning the things thereof which he wrote unto me, wouldn't that also be about what they wrote about that man sleeping with his father's wife?
It doesn't say that in the verse. It says they're asking specifically about the question, is it good for a man not to have sexual relations with a woman? So they're asking about if you should abstain from sex entirely. And he's like, no, sexual temptation.
No, he didn't say abstain. He didn't say.
That's what
when he says it is good for a man not to touch a woman, because these men are not touching their own women, they're touching other men's women specifically.
Where does it say that in 7?
In chapter 5, it tells you directly that their son is sleeping with his father's wife, and they're glorying in it. That's why he's saying it is good for a man not to touch a woman. So in verse 2, when it says, "Nevertheless, to avoid fornication, let every man have his own wife," does he not call the fornication in 1 Corinthians, the 5th chapter, what that son did with his father's wife?
He calls it fornication, yeah.
Thank you. Right. So that's the fornication that he's talking about. He's not talking about a man having more than one wife. On the subject of adultery, in Matthew's you did Matthew's the 19th chapter. I think I did Matthew's I think I did Mark. In Matthew's the 19th chapter.
Why he keep saying Matthew's like that, man? Matthew.
It says, "I say, whosoever shall put away his wife except it be for fornication and marry another, committeth adultery." Does it say anywhere in this text that if you marry another woman, you commit adultery?
Does it say Mark 10?
No, I went to the verse you used, Matthew
19.
Yeah, I went to Matthew 19 and 9.
Matthew 19 and 9. Yeah. Okay.
It says, "And I say unto you, whosoever shall put away his wife except it be fornication and marry another, committeth adultery." Does it say if you get another woman, you commit adultery?
It literally says if you marry another, you commit adultery, yeah.
If you it says, "Whosoever shall put away his wife, except it be fornication and marry another." That's the criteria. If you put away your wife and then marry another woman, you commit adultery. That's what it's saying, correct?
It says, yeah, if you put her away. Let me answer. Come on, calm down. Calm down. All right, I got this. Okay. All right, so yeah, if you put her away and you marry another, that's adultery because you're one flesh.
Wait.
It's Gordon Wenham says that means if you do it without divorcing, you're still violating the one flesh contract.
But it doesn't say if you keep that woman and marry another, you committed adultery. Where does it say that at?
But it doesn't say that.
I know it don't say that.
And you're reading that into the text. It doesn't say
No, I'm not reading anything. You said that your scholars said when Christ made this statement, he's saying that. That's what you said. You read something into the text that's not in the text. That text says if you put away your wife and marry another, that's adultery.
Ideally in the form of a question, though.
Yeah, let's get a question here.
I thought this was my cross-examination.
It is, but so if it's a 7...
I'm responding to his answer.
Oh, well... To be strict, because we'll have the dialogue right after this section where you guys
have 60 minutes of dialogue.
This is
okay. No sweat. So I get what you're saying. So to end on this note, he read into the text that this means you can't marry another. Christ is specific that this is about a man if he puts away his wife and marry another, not what he interjected in the text.
Is there a question?
Right, y'all. Let's see what he's talking about.
There you are. Listen, I told Odette I'm no professional photographer. Cleaning up messes is more my thing. And this angle? Seems like you're making a mess.
How do I prestige?
But I do have an excellent sense of camera composition, so I'll do it. But is your partner here? Aha! As if I spoke them into existence. Stand over there and let me know when you're ready. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Say dirt sheets. Perfect. I'll get these photos off to Odette's people. Now,
What was
get out
that?
of here before someone wanders by and notices this is just a little too convenient.
But watch this though.
I need you to put it in the form of a question, though.
I just said, I was trying to just end that part.
I know, but usually to be like, because we're like super, I assumed you guys wanted super formal because we'll have the dialogue after.
Okay.
So that's why
I can't get mad at you. You're right. I'm wrong.
But no, I'll press Mike the same way.
We'll see. No, I'm joking. So you also made a point in Leviticus, the 18th chapter.
Yep.
It says in 18:1.
18 and 18.
No, the question I want to ask you.
Okay.
In Leviticus 18:3, it says, after the doings of the land of Egypt wherein ye dwelt, ye shall not do. Correct?
You said verse 3?
Yeah, verse 3.
Verse 3, let me just read that here. Where you live, you shall not do as they did in the land of Egypt, where you lived, and you shall not do as they do in the land of Canaan, to which I am bringing you in. You shall not walk in their statutes.
Right.
What
so we agree that it's talking about not doing after these nations, correct?
Correct. Don't do what the nations are doing, yeah.
Right. And so uncovering the nakedness of thy father and mother, we would agree that that's talking about sex, correct?
It's talking about incest, yeah.
Right. Verse 9 says the nakedness of thy sister, the daughter of thy father, is talking about not having sex with them, right? The nakedness of thy son's daughter is talking about not having sex with them, right?
Yep.
So in verse 18, with this commentary, when it says, neither shalt thou take a wife to her sister to vex, if it was about not getting another wife, period, why doesn't it just say that when it can just clearly say that the same way it's saying, thou shalt not uncover the nakedness of this, the nakedness of that? It's clear when it says, don't take a wife to sister to vex, because, and second two-part question you to answer, this is in reference to Rachel and Leah as well.
So let me just answer you in full here. So scholars have pointed out verse 18 should not be going with the prior verses. It's actually with the preceding verses about just general sexual outlawing things. And it does explicitly say that. Again, that's what that means. Another. Woman to her sister just means another. It's the feminine form. So it's actually different. It's not actually set up in the same way in the Hebrew with the preceding clauses. It opens differently in the Hebrew. So it's actually different. And again, notice the prior verse. It says, you cannot uncover the nakedness of a woman and her daughter, and you shall not take her son's daughter or her daughter's daughter to uncover their nakedness, for they are relatives. It is depravity. Okay, so you cannot marry a woman and her daughter. Okay, very clear, because they're relatives. So you should see the same thing in the verse 18. They're relatives. It doesn't say that. So it's actually a completely different thing. It just means another. It's not an incest law. It goes with the following verses.
I would have to say you just don't understand it, so I'll try one more time.
All right, good luck.
Well, you didn't answer the latter part about was this in reference to Rachel and Leah? You didn't answer that part.
No, it's not alluding to it, no.
So the vexing her is not in reference to Rachel and Leah?
No, there doesn't say that either. There's nothing in the context.
Okay, was Rachel and Leah vexed by them both being married to Jacob?
Yeah, there was a lot of strife between them, yeah.
So then, as I stated, it is written because of that. And
no, it doesn't say that.
And it's important to understand that, because you made a point to say that God regulated polygamy, but he didn't want polygamy, correct?
It's possible, but it seems as though those verses don't actually even suggest that. The ones you two brought up.
So in the ones that I brought up in Deuteronomy 21 and 25, if a man have two wives, how many wives does it have according to the Bible?
He would have two throughout his lifetime.
It doesn't say lifetime. You're reading it into
it doesn't also say at the same time either.
How many does it say? I didn't ask you how many does it say he has at that time. I just asked you how many does it says he has.
It would say in that position he would have 2, yeah.
And one beloved and one hated, right?
Correct.
So could they exist at the same time?
There's nothing in the context that suggests that, so we can't say.
Could they not exist at the same time?
Could they would not exist at the same time?
Yeah.
Nothing in the context. It's just vague.
Right. So all we have to go with is that a man has 2 wives, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So then that is promotion.
Where does it say that you can do this?
It says it right here. By regulating, if a man has 2 wives and gotten the beautiful part about the Most High, knowing the nature, I won't be long-winded, I promise. The beautiful part about God and knowing man's nature, he's regulating what a man can do, because if you leave it up to the man, he'll deal with the one that he loves the most. And what God removed was you loving one more than the other.
I hate to do it, but just to be really strict on the cross-examination.
So I can't respond to his question, just to be clear?
Usually cross-exams, doing it in the formal way is just really
whatever
just,
answer
you're just trying to nail him down with questions.
Jesus Christ. Okay, Deuteronomy 25:5. If a brethren dwell together, does that mean that the brethren does not have an existing wife?
No, they would be dwelling together, so no.
You're saying they don't have an existing wife?
The first one would, he dies, yeah.
No, before they die.
Before he dies, so the older brother, or the one brother, would have a a wife. He dies. If they're dwelling together, though, no, the brother who then
So when the 70 souls went into Egypt, were they dwelling together?
Wait, the 70 souls?
I thought you knew the Bible.
Not necessarily, no, because they had different tents.
That is dwelling. That's what dwelling together is.
They're in the same community, okay, but they're not dwelling in the same house.
That is dwelling together.
Not in the same house.
In Psalms 144, when it says how beautiful it is for brethren to dwell together, you're familiar with the scripture, yes?
Yeah, it's just,
What just happened, bro? They up here tripping.
Right.
What about it?
They don't live in the same house.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
They live in the same house.
But it does say that they dwell together.
All right.
So I know, all right. So the dwelling together has nothing to do with living in the same house, correct?
Oh, yeah, that's my point. You're making the point for me.
No.
They're not in the same house.
You just admitted when it's in the Psalms when it says how beautiful. But let me phrase it in a question. In the Psalms, does it say that the brethren dwell together? How beautiful that is.
All right, so now let me answer you now. So the psalm is being very poetic in how it's doing. I could say we dwell together. That's not the you look at the context. The law of levirate marriage is clearly about 2 brothers living under the same
I'm not
household.
even talking about levirate marriage right now. I'm trying to get you to understand what dwell together means, because you don't. So in Psalms 133, it says how good and pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity, correct?
Yeah, so
it is not talking about living together. It's talking about being in one.
Yeah, there's different ways you can talk about dwelling. So what?
So in Deuteronomy 25, it is not saying that they live together. It's saying that they're around each other. And if he has a wife and that wife, he dies without producing seed, whether the brother has a wife or not, he has to go in unto her. That's the duty, correct?
So the question, of course, is what is the word? It's yasab.
I was off the word now. I'm asking a different question.
So what is the question then?
Thank you. The question was whether the man lives in the same hut or is away from him, but in the community. If the brother dies without her having a son, it's his duty to lay with her and take her as a wife, correct?
As long as he's not married, yeah. Because you have to.
Where does it say in the verse, as long as he's not married?
If you're following all the Torah, yeah, it would follow.
Where in the verse does it say, as long as he's not married?
If you're following all of the Torah, it would imply that you can't do it if you're married.
Where in the Bible does it say that? I'm just simply asking.
I just told you, Leviticus 18:18.
Read the verse. Give me the verse that says, as long as he don't have a wife, he can do it.
I told you already. Leviticus 18:18. You can't have your wife.
So you're saying that Leviticus 18:18 cancels out the law of a brother?
No, it doesn't cancel it out. This is for.
You just said
that. Let me answer now. Let me answer. Calm down.
I'm not hype, man.
These are very specific.
I'm trying to only ask questions now. He said I can't talk.
Now let me answer you now. Okay. Don't worry. So the law assumes exceptions. For example, in Genesis, when this is going out with, I believe it's Judah and Tamar, that whole story, the brother is too young, so he has to wait. The Torah assumes exceptions to this. This is not an end-all, be-all clause if this happens. What if it's an only child who dies? What are you supposed to do? have to do.
He's not answering the question.
I totally did it.
He made the statement that said, I can say this part. He made a statement that said, as long as he don't have another wife. I just asked you to show me a verse that says he cannot do it if he has a wife. If there's no verse, just say there's no verse.
It can combination with the entire Torah, which
I didn't ask about no combination. We ain't trying to go through a rigmarole.
It's very weird that we want. Hold up, my turn. It's very weird we want to start cherry picking the Torah when it's convenient for us.
I'm not cherry picking.
Later, like, we got to follow all of the law, guys. Now he doesn't want to follow all the law. Very convenient.
You just have to. No, you said in the law he can't do it if he has a wife, but you're not showing me in the law. Maybe in verse 10. Let me go to Deuteronomy 25 directly.
All right,
I'm gonna read the verse. This is question. Y'all, I'm just being funny now. I'm just being.
You're
funny
good, man. You're good.
No, I'm talking to the audience for James. This Deuteronomy 25:5. It says, "If brethren dwell together, one of them die and have no child, the wife of the dead shall not marry without a stranger, and her husband's brother shall go in unto her and take him to wife and perform the duty of her husband's brother unto her. And it shall be that the firstborn which he bears shall succeed in the name of his brother which is dead, that his name be not put out of Israel. And if the man like not to take his brother's wife, then let his brother's wife go to the gate unto the elders and say, my husband's brother refuseth to raise up a brother in my name Israel, he would not perform the duty." So is it in the law that a man can refuse?
Is it in the law that he can refuse? No,
Yes.
if he's unmarried, he has to do it. Yeah.
It just said, I just read it. If a man like not to take his brother's wife and let his brother's wife go up to the gate of the elder, say, my husband's brother refused to, and he would not perform the duty of my husband's brother, then the elders of the city shall call him and speak unto him. And if he stand to do it and say, I like not to take her, then shall the brother's wife come into the presence of the elders, and they shall spit in his face.
Right,
That's how.
We're
at
time. I can give you a chance to ask him a question.
Well, ask questions. So we can read where if he doesn't do it, he gets spit in the face, shoe thrown at him. Last chance. Where's the verse that says he cannot do it if he's married?
Okay, once again, let's just answer in full here. It's these are case law examples. These are not universal, all-encompassing, as scholars will note. If you take the whole Torah, that the Leviticus 18:18 would cancel it out if the other brother is married. That's the key here that he cannot get around, because now he doesn't want to take the whole law. Very convenient.
All right, with that, we'll wrap up. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
I did this dance when you and I was battling.
Listen, you can dance all you want. I know you got to earn money, but I'm good.
I don't earn it by dancing. That was a good one.
That was very lively, very enjoyable. We'll jump into the cross-exam. Mike, only questions for Captain Tazaryach. Yeah, I'll start the cross-exam on your first word.
All right. Do you have more than 2 wives?
Currently?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so you have more. Where does the Bible permit you to have more than 1 wife?
Deuteronomy 17:17, Exodus 21:10.
Does Deuteronomy 17:17 says you can have those wives?
It says you can't multiply wives to yourself that it turn away your heart from God. Right. My heart is not turned.
So you mentioned Deuteronomy 21:15. Does it say a man has 2 wives or more than 2 wives?
It says he has 2 wives.
So at best, it would only be allowing 2 according to your interpretation.
No.
Is what would crawl out of you if you drank 2 tablespoons of this disgusting African herb every day for 2 weeks. After your first...
It says he has 2 wives.
So at best, it would only be allowing 2 according to your interpretation.
No.
Where does it say more than 2 in the verse?
It doesn't say more than 2 in the verse.
Okay, so at best, it would only allow bigamy.
You better at just answering the question. Yeah. It doesn't say more than 2 in the verse.
Right. So at best, it would only be allowing 2 according to your interpretation, not more than 2, correct?
No, because the onus on this one is just giving an example of a man having more than 1 wife. And so what anybody with common sense would say, if he had 3 wives, if he had 4 wives, no matter how many wives he has, he cannot take away the firstborn right from the first son.
Yeah. Does it say that he has both those wives at the same time?
No, it does not.
All right.
I asked you that same question.
Okay, so are all stated circumstances in the Torah mean that those circumstances are permitted?
All lawful stated examples.
So if there's a verse that says, if this circumstance is going on, you can do it?
Can I finish answering?
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you. All lawful things are permitted, but they're not always expedient, meaning you don't have to do it.
Okay, so if there's a verse that says, if, I don't know, a man has 2 wives, in your view, that would be saying you can have 2, the Torah would be saying you can have 2 wives, according to you.
Yeah, and in my opening statement, I made it clear. I said, can I read it?
Yeah.
In my opening statement, I made it clear. If by promote you mean it commands to practice it, no, there is no command to practice it. If by promote you mean permits and regulate it as a lawful form of marriage, then yes. So we do not promote that a man has to do it, but we do promote the responsibility and regulations of one wife or 5.
Okay, well, just real quick, just to summarize, because it says if a man has 2 wives, according to you, that means you can have 2 wives, correct?
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I don't read it that way. I don't read that verse and say, okay, I gotta have 2 wives.
That's not what I asked. You can, not gotta. So according to you, Deuteronomy. You can. Yeah. So in Deuteronomy 23:18, it says, "You shall not bring the fee of a prostitute or the wages of a dog into the house of the Lord your God." Deuteronomy 23:18. Can you have the wages of a prostitute?
Thou shalt not bring the hire of a whore or the price of a dog into the house of the Lord for thy God for any vow, for even both. I was out in the verse before that. It says, "There shall be no whores of the daughter of Israel, nor sodomite of the sons of Israel." So I would interpret that as you can't have neither. That's the point.
So, but could you have money from a prostitute from another nation?
No.
Okay, so merely having prostitutes' money does not mean prostitution is permitted. Then, correct?
I don't understand the question.
Merely having the money of a prostitute does not mean God is allowing you to sleep with prostitutes, correct?
I would say if you have the money of a prostitute, you are breaking God's command.
Exactly. Okay, right. So just stating something in the Torah is not permitting what's in
This is not permitting
exactly
money from a whore.
Hey, oh, thank you. Perfect. Right. Okay, is stealing wrong?
It's telling you that you cannot.
Is stealing wrong?
That's right.
Okay, so Exodus 22:1 says, if a man steals an ox or a sheep and kills it and sells it, he shall repay. So similar structure to what we see in the Deuteronomy passage you brought up. Can you actually steal an ox or a sheep?
Someone can break the commandments and steal it. That what you're bringing up is examples of breaking commandments, but you're not. But you have yet to bring up anything about breaking the commandment of a man having more than one woman. So I'm going to agree. Could a man steal? Yes, but if they do steal, they're going to get punished for it. But if a man has 2 wives, he ain't getting punished for it. If he get 3 wives, he ain't getting punished for it. You're bringing me to laws. You're bringing me to laws about breaking commandments, whereas the laws I brought about having a wife is keeping the commandments. So you would agree, just stating that something is happening is not permitting. If stating the examples that you have given so far are sinful things, that sins are not right, sins are not permitted, but you have not given examples of a man having 2 wives as a sin. So then again, let's go back to Leviticus 18:18, since that's where we're going. How do you understand this verse? I understand Leviticus 18:18 as Moses knowing of the story of Leah and Rachel and saying you can't marry 2 cousins or you can't marry 2 sisters. Can you show me a place anywhere in the whole Hebrew Bible where the phrase "a woman to her sister" means a biological sister? Yeah, right here. Needless, because when it's talking about the nakedness of thy daughter-in-law, the whole chapter of Leviticus, the 18th chapter, is about family that you cannot be with. And so when it gets to the husband, neither shalt thou take a wife to her sister. It's the wife's sister. It's plain on tables. So in the prior verse, it says you cannot marry a woman and her daughter, correct? Yes. Okay, so are they siblings? Are they related? Yes, their daughter. Okay. Does verse 17 say you can marry that relative after maybe the mother dies? No. Okay, but in the following verse, you can marry the other woman after she dies. Yeah, it says. Well, it says to uncover her nakedness besides the other in her lifetime. So if you marry a sister and that sister passes away, then you could marry the other sister. So why can't you do it with the daughter in the prior verse? Because you can't marry a mother and daughter because that's incest. What if the mother dies? It doesn't say you can do that when they die. Okay, so in the prior verse, it's a different understanding of what's going on there then, because you can do it if one dies, correct? It's not a different understanding of who you can marry, and it doesn't change the context that Leviticus 18:18 is talking about that wife's sister. Is the verse 19 talk about incest at all? Also, thou shalt not approach unto a woman to uncover her nakedness as long as she a part of her uncleanness. That's talking about when a woman is on her flower. So you would agree 19 and following is not about incest, correct? 19 is about any woman. Okay, so verse 18 is not in the middle of incest verses, correct? It's at the end. Yes. Okay, so it could go with the following verses just about general rules, possibly, right? I don't know if I would put general rules because it's specific. 19 is general because it could be your grandmother. It could be your, well, grandmother don't get cycles, so I won't use them. It could be your auntie. It could be your mother. It could be your own sister. You can't be a part of any woman. That's in general. 18 is... in general. Right.
So 19, general rules.
19 is a general rule of women.
So 18 could be a general rule also as well.
18 is specific because it says, thou shalt not take a wife to a sister.
Why does
if it was in general... it would say, neither thou shalt take another wife.
Why does it not say a woman and her sister?
It says, say it again?
Why does it not say a woman and her sister?
Because they smart. I mean, they're intelligent enough to know. If they wanted it to say, thou shalt not take another wife, it would just say, thou shalt not take another wife. But that's not the context. It's clear. Don't take that wife's sister.
So in Exodus 26:3, it says 5 curtains shall be coupled, woman to her sister. That's what
26:3.
26:3. So I'm going to read it as literally as I can. It says 5 curtains shall be coupled, woman to her sister, and the other 5 curtains shall be coupled, woman to her sister. Is that talking about biological sisters?
26:3. I don't see the word sister.
I'm using the Hebrew. I'm reading it as literally as possible.
So it says the 5 curtains shall be. So verse 1 says, moreover, thou shalt make the tabernacle. This is talk about the tabernacle. This is talk about women.
So again, 5 curtains shall be joined, woman to her sister, and 5 joined, woman to her sister.
Why do you say? I don't understand why you're saying woman.
Shall be joined, woman to her sister, and 5 joined, woman to her sister.
Why do you say? I don't understand why you're saying woman.
It's literally the Hebrew. The Hebrew.
Wait, so just so I can't ask a question, right? But I don't see the connection between this and women in Leviticus.
Okay, but you would agree it's not talking about biological sisters here, just parts of the tabernacle, correct?
Yes.
Okay, great. Excellent. So that phrase seems to refer to just another, not biological siblings. Woman to her sister.
No, in 23, it's 26.
26:3, yep. That's the same phrase in Leviticus 18:18.
Which part of 3 is the phrase?
Okay, so the first word is 5, then curtains, shall be joined. Okay, woman to her sister.
Okay, because I'm reading the KJV, I don't see joined.
We gotta look at the Hebrew, man.
I see coupled. So you're saying in that one, it says the coupled part, kabar? Is that the word? Well, that's what it says, H22.
No, it says Isa el Hota, I believe is how you pronounce it.
So when I'm on my Eastward app, the together word is H2266, which says kabar.
No, I'm looking at if you want to do Strong's Concordance, it would be 802-413 and then 269.
Is that Bible Hub you're using?
Yeah, you can go there if you want.
Gotcha. Let's look at that. If y'all don't mind.
Okay. I got it right here if you need it.
I'm not about
text
to
it to you.
You say Exodus 26:3, right?
26:3, yeah.
Right, let me go to verse 3.
So
I got it right here. And let me put it in the Hebrew.
Mm-hmm.
All right, let me put it in Hebrew. So it says, Moshe, Hayah, Ro'eh, El, Son, Yitro, Hatna, Kohen, Medan.
Look for 802.
Wait, no, this went to chapter 3. My apologies.
My goodness.
My bad.
I got time. Pause my time, James.
We're going to have another.
I got so many more questions. Pause my time.
Wait, wait. All right, I'm there now.
Okay.
It says, Hamaz, Hariyat, Dayana, Hoberat, Asha, El, Ahota.
Yep, that was the ending of it. So gotcha. Isa el Hota. Is not Isa like the word for woman?
It says 5 curtains shall be joined to each other and her sister to her sister.
Yeah, there it is.
I got you. So you're saying because it says sister there.
No, it says the whole phrase, woman to her sister. Isa is in
right. 5. No. In mine's, it still says, so it says sister there.
Yeah.
On Bible Hub, it says 5 curtains shall be joined each other to her sister and 5 curtains. So it still uses curtains there.
Right.
But then it says to her sister.
Exactly.
But I still don't know what that has to do with Leviticus 18.
You would agree, looking at that phrase, though, it clearly refers to those that are not biological sisters, correct?
I don't think this is talking about women at all.
Exactly.
It's clear, right. But Leviticus 18 is talking about women. Specifically, when you know Hebrew is multifaceted with the words. The words can be used anything. Gentiles can be people or it can be a herd.
So there's no evidence that phrase refers to biological sisters, correct?
What phrase?
The phrase you just read in Exodus 26:3.
No, my argument is not whether the phrase in Exodus 26 is talking about sisters. My argument is that the context in Exodus 26 is the tabernacle and the curtains being metaphorically explained as sisters. That's why the King James translation uses doesn't use that.
All right, we got to move on. I got time. I guess.
Wait, let me just lay in here. The King James Version just says the 5 curtains shall be coupled together one to another. So it's just a translator that's choosing to use that word sister or not. So we'll be arguing translation.
We got the point across. Let's move on. Oh, you said that not everyone should be polygamous. Who should?
I don't think everybody should have a wife.
Okay.
Meaning, like, you should understand the responsibility.
Doesn't answer my question. You agree not everyone should be polygamous, right?
I do agree that everyone should not be polygamous.
Who, in your view, should have the ability to be polygamous?
Men that understand the responsibility of getting a wife, which is why the word promote and permits and regulates it talks about that. That's why the first thing you heard me say was I use Deuteronomy 17:17. Do not multiply wives to yourselves that it turn your heart away from the Most High.
Can the best among us be polygamous? The most righteous, the best among us?
I don't know if a best amongst us makes us a great wife. I mean, makes us a great husband. You could be good at being a cop and not be a good husband. You could be good at this and not be a great husband. You're going to be gone a lot. So I don't know if I would say the best of us is what I would do. I would say a man should examine himself to see if he can be great to one wife before he thinks about getting another wife.
So we should be righteous before we should be polygamous?
You should be responsible. I think you should be God-fearing and responsible.
Does the Bible call us to be more Christ-like?
Yeah, we should follow Christ.
Should the best among us be more Christ-like?
Yes.
Okay. According to 1 Timothy 3:2 and 12, it talks about bishops and deacons being the husband of one wife. What, do you need a muffin or something? You hungry?
No, man.
Okay. All right. Just making sure.
That's what I do.
Please, don't make.
I've been waiting for you to get it. I've been waiting for this part.
So,
I've been waiting for First Timothy 3.
Just don't make those sounds looking at me. I'm not going to be one of your wives, okay?
I am not. Christianity may endorse homosexuality.
All right.
Israelites don't endorse homosexuality, so I would not want
Would you say overseers in the church should be the most Christ-like because they're representing Christ before the congregation?
I think all men should be Christ-like, whether you're an overseer or a bishop or not.
So, but bishops should be Christ-like then, right?
I think I just answered the question. I said all of us should be. It doesn't matter. Your rank doesn't matter in obedience to Christ. We all should be obedient.
How many wives are bishops allowed?
It sounds like you got to have one wife. Can a bishop be single?
Yeah.
It says the bishop must be blameless, the husband of one wife. It sounds like he got to be blameless, got to have one wife.
So you would agree, though, that for bishops and overseers, they're not allowed to be polygamous?
I don't know if I agree with Christians' understanding of this verse, but I'll use your lens. Mm-hmm. So if a bishop only has one wife, that's fine. But it still does not mean if a man has 2 wives, he's in sin. Have you have to see it yet? This whole conversation, ain't no verse said having more than one wife is a sin.
We already went over that.
No, we did not. We went over the lie you said.
So the best. So those that are the most. So those that are Christ-like are called to only have one wife if they have a wife.
The verse doesn't say those that are Christ-like. It says if a man, it says this is a true saying, if a man desire the office of a bishop, he desireth a good work. So it's not talking about whether you're Christ-like, because then that would be disrespecting all the people that are not bishops but are Christ-like.
Time. That was excellent as well, gentlemen. Then we have, let's give him a round of applause. Very fun.
I thought this was going to be boring for a little bit.
No,
I'm glad you know how to debate. You know how to battle. All right, I'm glad you know how to battle. You made it interesting.
30-minute dialogue, and then we'll have Q&A.
I was falling asleep on that other guy.
Yeah, Anthony, wherever you are.
Okay, don't laugh at your own jokes. Okay, we're going to go to the open
Everybody laugh. I just laughed with them. No, don't do that. When I said I was black, sleep, they laughed too. Then y'all laugh, tell the truth. Then y'all laugh, y'all can tell the truth. Thank you. See?
We'll go to the 30-minute dialogue. The floor is all yours.
I'll let you go first.
I'm trying to think, man.
All right, well, then I'm going to go. I got questions. Does the Bible ever...
we ain't restrict. We can freestyle now.
Dialogue, yeah.
I got to ask James. We can freestyle right now, James.
Does God ever call Hagar Abraham's wife, ever?
I don't know off the top of my head.
He does not. He only ever calls her your servant woman, but he calls Sarah your wife explicitly in 17.
When Abraham laid with her, what was he called?
According to God, that was just a servant woman.
I didn't ask what God. I said when Abraham. Listening is an art.
God's the source of truth.
Do I got to put my other shirt back on?
You can put whatever you want on. Just leave a shirt on, please. Okay. Leave a shirt on for the sake of us all.
So when Sarah gave Abraham, what did it say?
So according to them, some of them said it was a wife, but God only called her a handmaid or a servant or slave.
Was it a sin?
Yes, of course it was.
Where?
Because, again, Leviticus 18:18 outlaws polygamy.
Where does it say?
You tried Sildenafil or Tadalafil, but you want something more powerful for your sex life? Listen up.
Yes, of course it was.
Where?
Because, again, Leviticus 18:18 outlaws polygamy.
Where does it say Abraham sinned, man?
My goodness. Okay, so I guess it's okay to get drunk because Noah got drunk and it's never condemned.
Noah wasn't a drunk.
It says he got drunk in Genesis 9.
He did get drunk that night. A drunkard is not someone that overdrinks one night. A drunkard is someone that consistently drinks.
Wait, you think it's okay to get drunk?
No.
Okay, great.
But you can not know your limits. Like, let's say if we all had a drink in here and I drunk 3 shots and I'm woozy. I just learned my limitation, but was I trying to drink like that? No. But let's say if tomorrow or the day after I do the same thing, I'm a drunkard.
Man, getting 3 shots. I'm Irish. That's nothing, I'll tell you.
No, I actually could drink. I actually could drink more than that. I'm big. I'm 6'5". I'm 6'5". So
the Irish blood is strong, man. I'm gonna warn you.
I don't have no Irish blood, man. So it's no sin.
You would agree, though, the Bible mentions things the patriarchs did, but they doesn't say they're always sinful.
When David committed adultery, it was a sin, right?
Yeah.
We can read that.
Yeah.
When Jacob laid with those 3 women besides Leah, it was not a sin, correct?
No, it was a sin.
Where?
Again, Leviticus 18:18.
Where does it say it was a sin?
It doesn't always narrate a sin. It just narrates things that happen sometimes. You would agree, though, like when Abraham took his wife and tried to give him to Pharaoh, that was sinful, right?
No.
It was not sinful for him to try to get rid of his wife into the harem of Pharaoh.
Nope. I don't read where he said it. All I know is Abraham was perfect. That's what the Bible says.
Abraham was perfect.
Yeah.
No. That goes against the Bible. Romans 3:23 says all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God.
So
that includes Abraham.
in Luke, the 1st chapter, when it says Zacharias and Elizabeth, according to the law, was blameless, what does that mean?
So which verse?
Luke 1, it might be verse 5. It might be early in the chapter. I was looking for another verse.
The days of Herod, the wife and daughter name is Elizabeth.
And
they were both
6,
right. Yeah, it just means they walk before God. It's
no, blameless. They were perfect too.
No, it doesn't say that.
Psalms, the 37th chapter says, mark the perfect man. It wouldn't say mark the perfect man if you could not be perfect.
If Zechariah was
so in
perfect.
Romans, when it talks about us not being perfect, it's because without Christ, none of us are perfect. But Psalms 37:37 says, mark the perfect man and behold the upright.
So, question. So if Zechariah was perfect, why was he punished by Gabriel?
Because he was talking too much.
Okay, so he wasn't perfect.
He was perfect. It's not a sin to question because he's being told something that he would never see. His wife was barren.
So God punishes people for not committing sin?
There wasn't no punishment to make him not talk. God could do whatever he wants. God, listen, Job didn't do nothing wrong. He was punished and then got right and got it better afterwards. But they were blameless.
So, but you would agree Zechariah made a mistake.
Were they? You said what?
Zechariah made a mistake.
I would agree that Zacharias was running his mouth.
Exactly.
That's right, and he shut his mouth.
Don't talk back to the angel.
All he did was shut his mouth. Like talking back to the angel is what tell me where that was a sin.
Because he says it is. He says, you're doubting me. You're going against what I'm saying. That's being sinful. He's not going along with the plan of God. Not walking with God is sinful, of course. Absolutely.
It doesn't say he didn't walk with God.
That's what it's teaching.
It just say he was asking too many questions.
All right, well, we're getting off topic here.
Yeah.
So, cause I really want to go back to Leviticus 18:18, though. I mean, like, you got to deal with this, man. This is pretty clear.
Here's what you want me to deal with Leviticus 18:18. What you want me to deal with is commentary. That's what you want me to do.
No, I can go right to the Hebrew.
Yes, you are. When you go to the Hebrew, and here's what I give you. In Hebrew, in the translation on Bible Hub that we went to, that word ahota, if I'm saying that right, it translated to sisters. So when I click that word, it says 17 occurrences. KJV, one to another, and 5 international to one to another. And
the word alone, you can refer to sisters, yeah, but not the phrase.
No, what I'm reading, so in Exodus 20, it's referring to Exodus 26:3. The KJV renders it one to another.
Yeah,
international, one to another, 5 curtains.
If it literally is about sisters, why doesn't the KJV render that in Exodus 26:3 as literal sisters?
Is KJV the only one that renders it as coupled?
I believe sisters? They all render it that way. I can look.
No, I said is the KJV the only one that renders it without using the term sisters?
Without using
in
a
the
sister?
in the translation as well.
The Barren literal Bible says 5 curtains shall be joined each to her sister.
Right. No, I'm saying is any other version. So again, the versions translating it to English uses whatever translation they try to. So clearly, the translators of the KJV chose to use something different than the translators of the Bible that you just referenced.
Mashallah.
Correct?
Yeah, they do that sometimes. Yeah, translators try to get the meaning because Hebrew is hard to translate to English.
So, and the word just means sister. Sister's another sister of your sisters. So the KJV is using that because of the context of the chapter.
Right.
Exodus 26 is not, we would agree Exodus 26 is not talking about women at all, right?
Exactly. That's the whole point I'm trying to make to you. It's not literal sisters when you make that phrase.
Help me to understand how Exodus 26:3 is talking about the tabernacle. Leviticus 18 is literally talking about women.
Mm-hmm.
If we go, so what is the point here? Do we go with it's talk about a tabernacle and curtains, or do we go with it's talk about women?
So let me break it down. So the phrase once again, if you take just the word for sister, it can refer to literal sisters or just, sisters in Christ or sisters of Israel. It can also refer to just another. Now, specifically the phrase Isa el Hota. Isa el Hota. I'm probably butchering the pronunciation if I'm wrong. That phrase, when you see that phrase, it never refers to biological sisters. So when you go to Leviticus 18:18, let's go to Exodus 26:3 first. It's also in Ezekiel, like I mentioned. You can see it. It's not referring to literal sisters. It literally means one in another. Yeah, now, when you put that in Leviticus 18:18, it opens by saying, one in another you shall not take as a rival wife to uncover the nakedness beside her. So it's just using that phrase, it just means another.
So when I look at this, it says, and this is on Bible Hub as well. Now, only thing with Bible Hub, because they do it in Hebrew, I'm just going to read it as it says. It says, the nakedness of the wife, not of the father, is the father. I might be in the wrong. I'm sorry, I'm in the wrong chapter. I apologize. Wrong verse, rather.
Take your time. No problem. I got all day.
Obviously, I'll do too. This is my second debate.
We're proud of you for coming here, Cap. We're proud of you. We try to get some Muslims. They didn't want to come down.
Oh, they didn't want to come down? I would have joined y'all with that. We'd have been united against them. It says, I wish I could read this a little better. Let me see if I click this word. There we go. It says, and a woman to her sister, and I hate reading it in the Bible Hub when they do it with the Hebrew, so I'll just try to read it. I want to read it in the KJV on the verse.
You can read it however you want.
So Leviticus 18:18 says, neither shall thou take a wife to her sister to vex her to uncover her nakedness besides her in her lifetime. Is there another? Let me do the NLT. The NLT says, while your wife is living, do not marry her sister. Yep. And have sexual relations with her, for they will be rivals. Again, that's referencing her sister while she's alive. In the ESV, it says, and you shall not take a woman as a rival wife to her sister. Again, talking about the sisters. So far I'm reading 3 different translations that's saying what I'm saying. When I go to Leviticus 18:18 in the NAS, and you shall not marry a woman in addition to her sister as a second wife while she is alive. Again, a sister. That's 4 translations that I read.
Yeah, translations that are wrong.
So all 4 translations are wrong.
According to the scholarship, yeah.
You shall not marry a woman in addition to a sister as a rival while she is alive. That's the Amplified Bible. Now, I personally don't read outside of the KJV. But what my opponent wants y'all to believe is that all these translators of the Bible.
All right, so here's the deal. National Concealed Carry Reciprocity is about to change everything. It means if you have a permit, it could be valid in
the Bible are wrong.
Let me tell you,
not talking about a sister.
Let me tell you a story. Once upon a time,
the
Bible came out, and it used to say in John 3:16, the only begotten Son. And then we did a little more scholarship. We realized the word monogenes refers more to uniqueness. So translations change it to one and only Son. And people freaked out. They thought they were changing the Bible. It was a satanic conspiracy. Translators get spooked by actually changing this kind of stuff. So they just try to follow what traditional English translations have followed for a long time. It doesn't change what the scholarship says about it.
People have enough common sense to know that Leviticus 18:18 is in reference to Rachel and Leah, because Jacob didn't want Leah the father put Leah in the tent, and so now Moses said, "Don't marry a wife that's a sister in her lifetime." I think we all have comprehension. I want everybody to pay. You might say, "Cap, why are you entertaining it like this?" This is how far he has to go to say that polygamy is a sin, because there is no verse that says polygamy is a sin in the Old or New Testament. We done been everywhere. We done been to Timothy, to Genesis,
and so once again, he's just
see a verse that says that you cannot have another wife.
Hey, Cap, it'd be very easy to prove me wrong. Just show me the phrase "woman to her sister" ever refers to two literal sisters.
Here's how I proved it, and to the audience.
This is the verse in question. You just cannot assume your conclusion.
This is my conclusion.
You can't assume it.
This is my conclusion, though. I just read to everybody 5 different translations of the same verse, and they all say wife's sister. None of them say what he's over there trying to say. That's why I said rigmarole, a whole bunch of talking and they ain't saying nothing. So we ain't seen a verse yet. So in Matthew 19, can you marry another woman if you have a woman? I'm sorry, let me rephrase. Is Christ saying you cannot marry another woman if you have a woman?
What'd you say that again? Is that a question?
Yes.
What's the question?
According to Matthew 19 and 9.
Why are you running on Leviticus? We're not done there.
Well, I gave my closing statement.
Okay.
This is a back and forth. I don't have to let you control it now.
I'll go to Matthew 19. I just want to say one more thing.
Okay, one more thing. Yeah, you got it. Get down.
If I'm wrong, it'd be very easy. Just show me one place where this phrase "woman to her sister" refers to literal biological sisters. It doesn't. It always means one another. Case closed. The Torah outlaws polygamy. Matthew 19.
The Torah does not outlaw polygamy.
It literally does.
Then the same Torah that he's saying outlaws polygamy is the same Torah that's saying if you got wives, this is what you do. That's like saying a verse you could steal, but then another verse regulating and rewarding stealing.
It literally regulates stealing.
If you do steal,
it literally does. Exodus 22:1. If you do steal,
you can keep this portion. But in the Bible, if you do steal, which is unlawful, you have to pay or get caught. If you get caught stealing a man, you get punished for stealing a man. Okay. So how can you say that there's a law against polygamy, but then the laws that regulate polygamy are there? That's confusion. And God is not the author of confusion.
Where does it say you can have 2 wives? You keep bringing up the verse in Deuteronomy. It doesn't say that.
I just said regulates polygamy. I didn't say can anything. You said this law prohibits polygamy.
Leviticus 18:18 does, yeah.
Right. So you're taking the position that it prohibits. But if there's laws that prohibit polygamy, show me where you can murder. And then if you do murder, the only unaliving, here's a good example. The only unaliving is if it's like self-defense, because then that's not murder. That's not murder. Stealing, there is no regulation where you can steal and get rewarded for.
Who says he's getting rewarded in Deuteronomy?
And dude, no.
It's curbing the practice.
No. I'm showing you how your statements are contradictory. Because if there was a law that said thou shalt not steal, and then somewhere down the line, if you did steal, you can keep this part, you can keep that part, then what you're saying would make sense about what you're saying about polygamy versus monogamy. My argument is that whether you're monogamous or polygamous is irrelevant to me, but you can do either, and then there's rules that regulate if you have more than one woman.
And my argument is, once again, the verses you bring up do not say you can or you may have 2 wives if you so choose.
They don't have to say you can because you already have it.
Yeah, and you just go to the verse in Deuteronomy 23 where it says the money of a prostitute cannot be brought into the temple of the Lord.
So you know what that means? It's not the promotion of prostitution.
Exactly. Thank you.
But if it says if a man have 2 wives, that is promotion of having 2 wives.
Then I guess you're promoting prostitution in Deuteronomy 23.
How am I promoting prostitution when you can't do one thing, but it says if a man have 2 wives? It's not saying if a man have 2 wives, you got to take him out and stone him, throw your shoe at him.
Cap.
If you don't have sex with that woman, that if my brother passed away and his wife didn't have no children, Cap, and she came to me and said, man, you're going to have to do what you got to do because Stephanie ain't here no more. I'd be like, nah, I don't want to do it. They could throw a shoe at me, spit it. She could bring me to the congregation and stone me. And I got wives.
Cap.
But can she do that, yes or no?
Cap, you good?
I'm asking a question. Can she do that? Yes or no?
Man, you were going on. What are you talking about?
I'm gonna say it again.
Okay.
My brother passed away.
All right.
If his wife come to me and say, I didn't have no sons with Stephen, and so I need you to raise up a law of a brother. I got wives. Am I supposed to do that according to the law?
No.
Show me where I'm not supposed to do that.
Leviticus 18:18 says you cannot have two.
I want y'all to understand.
You already got one.
I want y'all to understand. You have to lie on the Bible. That's what he's doing right now.
So again,
because the law says if I refused, she could take me to the elders of the city.
And then you would say, hey, I can't. Leviticus 18:18 says I can't.
No, we're not. Yeah. I mean, it's cute and it's funny to keep saying that.
That's the truth.
I'm telling y'all, Christians,
that's the truth.
It is not the truth because
that's the truth.
That verse does not say you can't do that.
Okay,
this is crazy. I might have to take it back that you was better than the last guy. This is crazy,
man. You're really struggling over there, man. I get it.
Because in that scenario, I could not deny that woman. I would have to perform my duty as a brother, even though I have wives. So now my question:
What if you were prepubescent? Could you do it?
I don't know what that means.
Before you hit puberty. What if you were like 9, 10? Could you do it? No, you couldn't. So she could not take you.
I never thought college was my thing, so I went to work right out of high school.
This is broken.
With Purdue Global, now I have...
What if you were like 9, 10? Could you do it? No, you couldn't. So she could not take you to the court and do it. Because we see that in Genesis. Because again, what happens? We see an example of that where the brother is too young. So what is it? Judah, I believe it is? Judah and Tamar?
But he had a bunch of sons. So he let another son do it. And when that son pulled out, the Lord unalived him.
Mm-hmm. And then he has one other, and he's too young. He can't do it.
Okay. Yeah. Outside of too young, I'm not talking about being underage. We're not.
Well, where does the verse in Deuteronomy say if the brother's too young?
You know who would do it? Muslims would probably do it.
I got you there.
Muslims would give up that 9-year-old boy ASAP. They would do it.
That's why we're not debating one. I know what you mean. But it doesn't. My point is, if you go back to the Deuteronomy passage, it does not include the clause if he's too young, he doesn't have to. Because it assumes it because this is case law. This is not exhaustive law.
Right, but if I say no, she can go to the priest and say that man said no.
What's going on?
So my question, Matthew 19:9, when it says, "Whosoever shall put away his wife except to be fornication and shall marry another," does Christ say? If you have a wife and marry another, it's fornication in that verse?
Yeah, he says if you marry another, it's fornication.
No. He said the first thing he says if you put away your wife. So the subject is putting away your wife.
Yeah, you can't put her away.
The subject is putting away your wife. Agreed?
Yeah, the subject is putting away. It's about divorce. Yeah.
The subject is not about keeping your wife. Correct?
The subject is about putting away the wife. Like I said. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah, that doesn't change my point.
My question is: does Christ